After that wonderful and stimulating morning session, I think we are nicely set up for the afternoon session. And what a privilege it is to have His Holiness with us for so long. I'm an economist, and I can say we are monopolizing His Holiness. This is a monopoly we're having over him for a couple of days, and we are very, very grateful to you, sir. Along with His Holiness, we are also very fortunate to have two Lamas with us of high repute and learning, Venerable Yangten Rinpoche and Venerable Ling Rinpoche, who are here with us, who are disciples of His Holiness. Also with us is Dorji Damdul, Geshe Dorji Damdul, who is the translator to His Holiness. And His Holiness is honorary professor at our place, and Dorji is honorary fellow. And some of you are in the philosophy and psychology department, Buddhist studies department. Last year he was here doing a lot of teaching in philosophy and psychology and Buddhist studies. He'll be again doing teaching in these departments and other departments this year. So we are grateful not only to His Holiness for being here, but in bringing other people along so that we can build on the interactions that we have with His Holiness. After 3:30 today, this session runs from 1:30 to 3:30. After 3:30, His Holiness would need to leave, but we would have Dorji and Venerable Ling Rinpoche and Venerable Yangchen Rinpoche here with us for a little while longer. So you can have tea at 3:30, and those of you who would like to continue this dialogue for a little while more with us all, then you are very welcome to stay on after 3:30, and we would have Venerable Geshe and Lamas to continue this discussion. And we are very fortunate and thankful to His Holiness for having considered this and so graciously bringing His disciples along with Him. Thank you, sir.
Perhaps as a part of introduction, myself or Tibetan Buddhist tradition. 7th century, the Buddhism began, start. The Tibetan emperor then noticed the Buddhism is I think maybe more sophisticated religion. So usually I describe a Tibetan emperor in 7th century, 8th century, during this period. They are quite sort of realistic. They judge those neighboring states, China, food, vegetables, very rich. So they use even some vegetable, very name, still we use Chinese word. So they brought from Chinese tradition. And I think to some extent, I think in Tibetan medical system, also some Chinese tradition. But then, clothes is concerned, Tibet generally cold country. So Mongolia, their clothes seems to be very fit according to Tibetan climate. So they adopt Mongolian clothes. Then they watch religion, philosophy. They found best is India. Although at that time already Buddhism flourished in China, I think at least 3-4 centuries ago. But then the Tibetan emperor found Buddhism is the best. So Buddhism is concerned, it is better to approach directly India. So then Tibetan script also copy one of the Devanagari script. So still we can read, we can recognize some word in those Ashoka pillars writing. So we can pick up. But of course, we do not understand the meaning, but you see the letter, because it's a Tibetan letter, script is a copy, one of the Indian sort of script, so like that. Then alphabet, entirely different than Chinese sort of the character way, like that. So then 7th century, 8th century, Shantarakshita invited by Tibetan emperor and with Pema Sambhava. The Shantarakshita was one of the top master of Nalanda at that time. Great philosopher, mathematical philosopher, and also great logician. According to his writing, you see, I noticed, you see, two groups, right? Two categories. One category about mathematical philosophy. Another category, logic. So, according to his writing, shows he was great logician and great philosopher. Great scholar, of course. Usually when I mentioned these Nalanda master, from the Buddhist viewpoint, we consider them as a Buddhist master. But academic field, I usually refer these people like Nagarjuna, Dignath, Jantakirti. These I usually used to describe professors of Nalanda University. So because the real introducer, Tibetan Buddhism, he himself, great scholar, great logician. So naturally, he want to teach or he want to bring his own student that way. So till 21st century now, up to now, we Tibetan carry rigorous study. I think generally in the past, before 1959, in Tibet, in order to become scholar, 20 to 30 years, rigorous study, and learn those root texts wrote by this Nalanda master. Firstly, familiarize, familiarization, memorize, and learn by heart those sort of root texts. Then those brilliant students, even some important commentary wrote by Nalanda master, some portion also is learned by heart. Myself, at young age, no enthusiasm for study. Great reluctant study, but under the threat, whip threat, I study these root texts learned by heart. And he, of course, and Yang Ding, these three of us already finished all study. Of course, my knowledge, you cannot compare these people. They are really spent rigorous sort of effort. Me, not that much. And Lingu Rinpoche, still young student, he's still studying, like that. So therefore, I proudly, saying, Tibetan Buddhist tradition is pure lineage of Nalanda tradition. And if you really want, you can examine Chinese Buddhist, or from Taiwan, or from Singapore, or from some American Chinese, or Chinese from mainland China. You can examine with them. And Japanese Buddhist, Korean Buddhist, Vietnamese Buddhist. We are same school, Mahayana, so-called Mahayana, actually Sanskrit tradition. But if you take interview, then you will notice Tibetan scholars, Tibetan who carry 20, 30 years of study, their knowledge is much profound. Of course, this is not self-promotion. No. Even myself, still, as I mentioned earlier, my knowledge is limited. But even then, when I discuss with Buddhist sort of subject, particularly these Madhyamaka philosophy and Buddhist logic, with other sort of Buddhist brothers, sisters, my knowledge, not bad. So that means nothing special for myself. I mean, for Savarkada, something special person. No. I carry the normal way of study in Tibet, according to Tibetan Buddhist tradition. I study, I think, 13 years. And out of 13 years, I think the last 2-3 years, I really put some effort. Otherwise, so that, and then logic, Buddhist logic. I think we Tibetan, the way study is firstly learn root text by heart, then commentary, explanation, word by word, then debate.
Debating whereby you employ such a logical system using the syllogisms, examining if something qualifies something, should it be the case with the main predicate, should it fulfill the criteria as put forward in the predicate or not. So this kind of very refined analysis is undertaken in that system.
So therefore, I think our knowledge is really quite depth. So, we really feel, sometimes even with great emotion. Now, I think some of you, I think already heard, I describing Tibetans are Chela of India. We not only Chela, but a reliable Chela. That means last few centuries, the Nalanda tradition is much damage and ups and downs here. During those centuries, we kept intact all these Nalanda masters sort of teaching. So now time comes. It is our moral responsibility to reintroduce to you what we learned from your ancestors. Sometimes we will complain here and there as a refugee, but historically we truly believe you are our master. You are our master. So now it is our moral responsibility to return to our Guru what we kept last several centuries. So part of that, here I'm very happy to interact with mainly Indian student. Very happy. Feel great one. And many years ago, I think more than 20 years ago, I gave one Buddhisamanza initiation, Abhisheka, to 4 Sanskrit scholars from Varanasi University, Sanskrit University. They asked me that Abhisheka, and I performed with Saint Mandela. I so much moved, tear. And then 4 Indian scholars, everyone also tear. So that's a very unique close relation between teacher Indian teacher and a Tibetan student. So one Tibetan great scholar described, till light of Buddhism reach Tibet from India, in spite snow land, still dark. The light come from India, reach Tibet, then that snow land, then fully brightened, like that. And then I want to share with you, you Indian, of course the material development, technology, modern science, highly necessary. But meantime, you must keep your rich tradition. That's very important. Some young Indian, too much sort of fashion, Western culture or Western things. Okay, some are very useful, enjoy, very good. But your main sort of cultural heritage, 1,000-year-old your culture, must maintain. Look, China. Now, much copying Western sort of today, education or science, technology, these things. But because 5,000-year-old cultural heritage, much already damaged. So now look there. They seems to see the younger generation, there's nothing much our own traditional sort of value. Whereas India, I think British imperialist, bad, but still bring modern education and revive these things without touching India's 1,000-year-old tradition. I think very good. So now you have the opportunity to combination rich spirituality of this country, ahimsa, mainly ahimsa, and religious harmony. I think these are model of the rest of the world. I think time come to show rest of the world, all different religious traditions come together, sit together, genuine harmony with mutual respect. It's not just idea. 1,000 years practice here. This should be model rest of the world. So Indian should feel proud. One student asked us, orthodoxy lesson. I think your question, isn't it? Orthodoxy. I think, like you, young student, I think should take the essence of the spirituality, not ritual or some of these things. Rituals, these things are in a way superficial. In Tibetan case also, number of cases, even monastery, just they carry some rituals, some ceremonial thing, but without knowing the meaning. I often teaching my Indian friend, in many cases, the parent or people in the family mourning in front of Shivalingam or Ganesh or Saraswati or these things, offer some flowers and recite some Sanskrit shloka without knowing the meaning. These are not much useful. We must take the essence, and that essence make relevant day-to-day life. Then spirituality lives a life. Right? Then you get benefit. If spirituality remain in temple, old-fashioned, fail to make relevant day-to-day life, then not much useful. Do you agree? Good. Thank you. Now questions.
Okay, the girl at the back, yes, in black.
Good afternoon, sir. I would want to know that what is your view on capital punishment? what should be done with people who have done so much wrong to others, like suppose Kasab, for example? Is it right to execute them? How can they be redeemed?
Amnesty International, or the organization, they start some movement abolishing death sentence. I'm one of the signature. I put my signature like that. So, from my viewpoint, even very negative person, that negativeness comes due to many different factors, environment, and his or her own way of thinking. These, like Hitler, who are very cruel, but at the time of their childhood, not that kind of person. At the time we born, we all was a very much affectionate person. Gradually, you see, due to different circumstances, you see, some individual become like that. So therefore, if we put sort of right sort of the environment, or right because of the conditions put there, these negative people can be a positive people. So it is much better keep alive, then educate, provide them maximum affection. Then they can gradually change. So therefore, death sentence, of course, brings some immediate satisfaction. That person did something very wrong, now finished, so feel happy. But long run, that's not human way to treat these negative person. As far as potential is concerned, everybody have all these potential of negativeness. And also the positive potential, also everybody have same. So we must nurture these positive sort of quality and make clear these negative things through education, through compassion, and with patience. I think that's the way. Next question.
Very good afternoon, sir. My question is that can we attain nirvana while staying in this materialistic world and society and performing our duties? Or do we need to seclude ourselves to do so?
At the time of Buddha, I to some extent materialistic life already there. But then since then, Indian society as a whole, look, you see these kings, rajas, you see big building, that also materialistic way of life. But within that, through centuries, some individual, through their own effort, achieve very high sort of special realization, including nirvana. So why not? Today, 21st century, same human being, same potential. From the Buddhist viewpoint, particularly the Sanskrit tradition, everyone have the Buddha nature, Sukha Darshindaya, or Tathagata Garva. So long, clear light, there, Tathagata Garva is there. So entirely depend on one's own effort. with fuller knowledge, then nirvana always possible.
Can we get a particular definite direction to it? Do we need a guru to direct us?
What? Where? Oh yes, he had. Oh yes. Correct. I think 11th century, about 11th century or 12th century, one Tibetan master, very famous Tibetan master, when he was about to die, some of his disciples asked him, till now we get because of the teachings from you, and we can take advice from you. Now you will not, no longer here. And what we should do? Who is the best teacher? Ask him. Then his answer: you should not rely on person, but your teacher should be those texts. So text still available. As far as Tibetan Buddhist text is concerned, the translation from Sanskrit mainly, then also Pali, also some Nepalese, and I think around 10 books from Chinese translation. But the rest of about 300 volumes, all translation. So these are our sort of textbook. These are teacher. So you can learn how to change this very mind, how to discipline this destructive emotion, not through faith, but utilize our intelligence. The basic Buddhist way of approach is utilize human intelligence maximum way. Through that way, transform our emotion. That's the Buddhist way, particularly the Nalanda way. So knowledge, firstly, I think we need some kind of map of emotion. Then we should know the contradictions each other. Then those destructive emotion, we find counterforce emotion. These emotions, as this morning I mentioned, based on valid reasons. So utilize maximum way these reasons. That brings new conviction. New conviction brings enthusiasm. Enthusiasm brings effort. Effort then gradually make impact in our limitless time habituated way. Habituation, these negative emotion. Eons, but no basis, solid basis. So new concept, new understanding, although short period, but profound basis, valid basis. So our intelligence then know this is wrong, this is right, then gradually change. According to my own little experience, like altruism, infinite altruism, the Buddhist term, bodhicitta, and understanding of shunya. My age, I think around 13, 14 years old, and particularly I think around 15, 16. I develop some enthusiasm from within. Then start study as well as practice. Now 75-year-old, I really notice big change. Not through just prayer, not through so-called meditation, close eye, thinking nothing, not that way, but analytical meditation really change, really makes big change. And some of my friends, I think this person also, through analytical meditation, their life changing. So that's the way. So not necessary to seek one guru. Take these texts as a guru, as a teacher. And also one, I think the advantage Tibetan way of study is comparison. Text from different school of thought and make a comparison and analyze oneself. Their view, certain view, then you see another view, another philosophical view, bring a lot of contradiction about that philosophy. And think. Then this philosophical viewpoint, another philosophical viewpoint, you see, brought a lot of, point out a lot of contradiction. So analyze all these things. That's one advantage, Tibetan way of study. I noticed some Chinese or Buddhist, it's just one book, always read. And some my friend, it's a Buddhist friend, since we become very close friends, so they actually, express to me, we also recite these some sutra, but without knowing the meaning. Like that. So I think from that viewpoint, being a Tibetan, really feel proud. Because we still kept the academic study of Nalanda tradition still alive. We really feel proud. Too much exaggeration? Next question.
You've stressed, Your Holiness, you've stressed the importance of analytical meditation. Could you tell me specifically where I can learn analytical meditation? That's question number one. I have another question linked to this. You've also stressed the need for introducing ethics in education. Do you think a syllabus and course structure on ethics is more desirable and would have greater impact than learning analytical meditation, and that would deliver the goods? What would you advise the University of Delhi to do?
The first part, first part is analytical. I think in order to carry analytical meditation, firstly, our mind must be open, neutral, should not have any preference, and keep skeptical, doubt. Skepticism, brings question. Question brings analyzation. Analyze analyzation brings answer. That brings conviction. So our mind, like scientist, genuine scientist, our mind must be open and very objective and skeptical. That's one way. Right? Then, according to our experience, then one, I think, good thing about Nalya tradition is use logic way. Excellent. Like Nagarjuna and these Aryadeva and all their text,
All the writings of these great masters like Nagarjuna, Aryadeva, we see that the style of composition of theirs is primarily based on putting the form of syllogism, using syllogisms as a means to establish their concepts.
So that's the way of analytical meditation. The second part, sir. Moral ethics. Although why we need moral ethics? Here, logic's very important role. But the ethics itself,
So ethics, if you are to qualify in one of the two characteristics, in the form of the enthusiasm side of our mental qualities and the wisdom side or the intelligence side of the mind, we qualify the ethics in the first part, which is the enthusiasm part.
Not wisdom, like compassion, strong wish of well-being of other, just a dumba.
The enthusiasm.
Not wisdom, not prajna, but these are upaya. So upaya and prajna, the mental sort of, also the aspect is different. Prajna, sharpening, penetrate the object which you are analyzing. The upaya, not that way. But upaya, some kind of conviction. That conviction much depend on the analyzation.
The analysis, the analytical thinking.
So there's a whole Buddhist sort of way of approach. The emotion itself is the basic issue.
Emotion by in itself belongs to the category of the enthusiasm or the aspiration.
That emotion, yang matava said, shirok desu.
So whether to qualify one emotion as positive or negative is determined by the intelligence side.
So the backbone of positive emotion is wisdom. But the actual mind do things separate, different things. Prajna and upaya. Do you know like that? No? Oh, yes.
Good afternoon, sir.
For this heavily released, encircled by snow-covered mountain.
Yes. Tibetan. Tibet.
For this heavily released, encircled by snow-covered mountains to premortal source of all the benefits and bliss, this Tenzin Gyatso generously in person, may he remain steadfast until the samsara's end. Your Holiness, my question is, once I wish to become a special educator for a special child, but in regarding this Buddhist philosophy, there is a concept says you should not pity others. So whether this sentence is correct or not yet confident, so I would like to know the reason behind this concept. So rangi shenla ningje la sem dike marelan tindechi. 现在凝结来个什么的给有嘛的东西，现往不跟，现在凝结来个什么的给没有嘛的什么，现在凝结300什么，不弄。
Hindi?
Ini o tinte kaya yo ma resun. Peche na wangbu kwenye china, ko tinte nying je la.
Ka? There. There. Yes. You see, genuine compassion, you see, in our usual sense, is kind of pittiness. In some kind of feeling of pity, you see, you consider a little bit sort of fortunate, the other one unfortunate. So there is sort of some kind of mental aspect, look down. That's not compassion. Compassion, the other, even more dear than yourself, and full respect, then develop sense of concern about their well-being. That's genuine compassion. And also now here, compassion, you see, one like compassion or love which mixed with attachment, very much oriented others' attitude and action. Therefore, that kind of compassion is biased only towards your friend who is nice to you. That kind of compassion cannot extend towards your enemy. Now, other genuine compassion on the basis of respect as sentient being, and on that level, just myself have every right to overcome suffering, regardless what their attitude. So the unbiased, genuine compassion oriented being itself or self itself, not attitude. So therefore, that kind of compassion is unbiased. And that compassion extends towards our enemy. As far as their action is concerned, that person harming on you, so we call enemy. But as far as sentient being, they also have the right to overcome suffering. So develop on that basis, because of the sense of concern. That's unbiased, infinite compassion, not mixed with attachment. Impossible to develop attachment towards your enemy. So, Nyingji, I mean Tibetan word. Nyingji, said Nanzu Namju Pagal, oh, Nyingji since Sajikdua. Deep has in Mari. So, Nyingji said, Momadi, Parubolia, Kushubche. Penan, the Jew London Signalia. Dan Sinja Tamjela, Yishin Norbu Land Hakwe, Tanjo Driver, somebody, Dado Jevon Zimbasho. Kang to Sudan, Robert said, Dani Gule Mandashin. Shana Samba Tawa, Chod Jevon Zimbasho. Oh, that Ninja Mama did it. Just what? Pena, genuine mother and genuine compassion from mother to child. Mother, even you see, willing to sacrifice her own life for sake of the children. Even animal, some birds do that. When you see some threat to their youngster about to come, the mother is willing to sacrifice her own life for protection of their own youngster. So,
good morning, sir. Good afternoon, sir. And I have a question.
The shows that should be Oh, yes. Yes, yes.
Buddhist has many gods. There has an awesome mantra. Then And what is benefit of that mantra for us? Also, other question is, what is the relationship of meditation and mantra?
You from Mongolian?
Yes.
Oh, usually we describe Mongolian and Tibetan like twin brothers, sisters. Of course, different language, but same culture, same religion. Buddhism. And Tibetan case, India is our guru. We are Chela. Mongolian case, the Tibetans are your guru. You are Chela. One scripture of Buddha mentioned his teaching eventually further north. So 2 words, north to north. So first north, we consider Tibet. Then second north, beyond Tibet, Mongolia. And some republics in Russia, like that. So in any way, your question, deity magushus. So God, I think the very word God, danger because of that misunderstanding. And one occasion, one time, one Japanese, here are some Japanese, one occasion, one Japanese, he came to see me and he just visited Tibet. And he told me, I think Yangtze Angry Treaty. You see, he that took pilgrimage there, and then he noticed some dark room and very fearful sort of god and goddesses. Then actually that night he lost his sleep because of fear. Constantly, you see, because of the reflect, the fearful deity like that. Oh. So then he asked me, why? Buddhism is very much based on compassion, but so much this wrathful deity, what is that? He asked me. So perhaps I think I can say in Tibetan Buddhist tradition, I think too much deities. Sometimes we put so much effort, importance of these deities, forgetting Buddha. Absolutely wrong. Those reliable deities are manifestation of Buddha. These are reliable. Some of the sort of local deities, Yula Shibda, these are not at all because of Jemna Marwa.
These are not the true source of refuge.
Sangha said Phagwe Ginju, Phagwe Satosh.
Sangha, here among the 3 jewels, Sangha is one of them, is those beings who achieved a very highly realized spiritual the realizations.
가다 대박 누순도 통하는데 파벌 지기하래. 대박 누순도 마통에 소수적으로 집래.
Those beings who have realized the ultimate reality, emptiness directly, they are referred to as Sangha members, and others are referred to as ordinary beings.
So among the deities or protectors, there are 2 kinds. One belong to Sangha. These are quite reliable. Other below that, it's just like us. Of course, only difference is they are without this, because of grosser level because of the body, so more subtle body, so they can go different places and can spy what is going on there. So sometimes we can get some information what is going on there. That's all. not at all sort of refuge. Right?
Not at all a source of refuge.
I have the name of Dalai Lama. So traditionally, state oracle, there, from time to time, I meet them through trance. I treated them like advisor and ask what is their opinion. Never sort of refuge.
Never go for refuge as such.
So, uneducated Buddhist, I think, strictly speaking, people who worship these sort of lower being of deities, essentially, if they really worship, they're no longer Buddhist. So therefore, in Mongolia, shamanism, worshipping some spirit, these are, before Buddhism came, such practice there. And sometimes animal sacrifice also there, in the Himalayan range. Still, some people, in Nepal as well, even some cases, even Buddhist monastery, some animal sacrifice is to happen. So now, last several, now I think 3-4 decades, we actually sort of, explain these should not, practice like that. So therefore, in lower level of different deities, there are so many deities, thousands, I think 100,000s there, each village, some deities there. So the higher deities must be someone where in the text, and tantric text, mentioned like Mahakala, tantric text, Guhi Samansa, tantric text, and Hirupa, tantric text, and Beza Bhairava, tantric text, or Gilaya tantric text. It's mentioned some. These are reliable. So we must make. Now here I think we have to know their background, something like social background.
So here in this case, we really need to have a proper awareness and the knowledge of the background of these different deities.
Then mantra, recitation, carry rosary, Catholic also carry, Catholics, and also Muslim. I think 90 beat or 99 beat or something. So, different name of Allah. So, Hindu Tantra also is to carry rosary. And Buddhist Tantrayana also is to carry rosary. So, mantra is common. Buddhist, non-Buddhist. So, those mantra which mentioned about emptiness, shunyata, and bodhicitta, then you can say this is Buddhist Tantrayana. Those mantra which mentioned about soul, then non-Buddhist Tantrayana. We cannot make distinction, practice of some yoga, Chandalini, Kundalini, Chandalini. Right?
The channels and the drops.
Common. Non-Buddhist Tantrayana, Buddhist Tantrayana. And also controlled breathing. Common. Like Samadhi. 100% common. Vipassana, there are also 2 levels.
In Vipassana, there are 2 kinds. One is mundane Vipassana, and the other which is supramundane. the mundane Vipassana is common to all the different religious systems.
Mainly Indian non-Buddhist. And I heard the ancient Greek Orthodox Church, Christian. I heard some monastery in Greece where women not allowed for pilgrim. So some remote sort of monastery still have the, the tradition of meditation or samadhi in Christian tradition. And some monastery, even non-Christian, not allowed. So, for me, no hope to visit these areas. Like that. So therefore, you see, this study, perhaps you see, I may share with you one joke. When I give teaching Tibetan, and sometimes I used to mention, we, without knowing the real Buddhist sort of structure or Buddhist system, simply recite Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. So when you a little bit hurry, then Om Mani, Om Mani, Om Mani, 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 that. That sound looks not Sanskrit word, but English word, money, 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 that. So money, 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 isn't it? Further clarification, dollar, 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 not Indian rupee. Right there. So these are people who just rely on recite some mantra is, I think, clear sign of degenerate about rich Buddha Dharma. Yeah.
First of all, Touch Tilak, His Holiness, this thing. I'm a Tibetan and I'm from TCV school. And I can say that you are like a real mother for me and for all the Tibetans, specifically people from Tibet like me, because whatever I have and whatever educational opportunity that I have accessed till now is because of you. Is that? And before that, this is the... it is a great pleasure for me that today is the second chance for me to have such session with you, because before that also in June I came for the Gurukul program in Dharamsala. So that time also I got one day to have interaction with you, and I'm feeling very happy and very blessed about this. This thing. Then before that in May I went for this interfaith program. All these programs are organized by His Holiness Foundation for Universal Responsibility. So during that session, like Islamic session, one of our lecturers, he told that according to me, the greatest, the biggest terrorist in this world is the politicians. Like, for example, George Bush, like that, he was saying. So who do you think is the main cause of terrorism in the society? That is
good terrorism cause. I think two levels. Mental level, the ultimate sort of also the terrorist is our hatred, anger, hatred. It's the ultimate source of physical terrorist. Unless something changed there, terrorists will not cease. Hatred keep parent to children, children to their children. So long, hatred. And also hatred sometimes come out of sense of insecurity. So weaker section sometimes you feel through their own imagination some threat. And also jealousy or envy. Then physical level, perhaps I think people, two things. One, lack of holistic view, and some cases may be very faithful, but their knowledge, awareness is very limited. Such person easily manipulate. That one category. Essentially, very innocent, but manipulated by some other. Then another category, very brilliant, real sort of broader knowledge, but ultimate sort of the emotion, full of hatred. So all their knowledge, all their brilliant brain used for destruction. It's clear? Some answer, isn't it? And if you pinpoint, then look, those newspapers. I think these days the people immediately say, Osama bin Laden. I think if you look on his face, looks very nice, isn't it? Looks very gentle, except the gun always is put aside. Otherwise, it looks very nice. I really believe, like bin Laden or Saddam Hussein, if before Iraqi crisis, if some trusted person as a group, some Nobel laureate, some scientist, go meet Saddam Hussein and explain, if you carry this sort of attitude, then war with America unavoidable. Express sincerely, there is possibility to avoid my way. So therefore, at that time, before Iraqi crisis was happened, some people wrote to me, expressed I should go to Baghdad. I thought that's unrealistic. I have no one in Baghdad. So even with visa, reach Baghdad airport, like stranger, where to go? I don't know, isn't it? So that's very unrealistic. But at the same time, at that time, I really felt some Nobel laureate, and also like the Havel, Czech president, Havel, representing no one, just one individual human being with sincere motivation, really committed peace against violence. Such good people, go there, tell him, I think he also human being, He do not want lose war. He do not want to topple his own sort of position. The problem is, someone go there without trust. How can serious discussion? Full of suspicion. Someone, as one diplomat, go there and talk. Then the other one immediately feel what behind this nice face, nice word, what agent there. Immediately. So just sincere one individual who carry no one's representative or no one's wish, simply Azoda find peaceful solution and let develop trust. Then I think discussion can take place. Some solution can find. So therefore, after that, I appeal to President Havel and Bishop Tutu and some other, and declare, a former president of South Africa, I know very well. So I appeal these people. Now we should, in future, we should take more active role. When a place about some crisis, about coming, should go in this place and talk concerned people. So far, the Forum 2000, one organization, started by Harvard, actually you see carrying these sort of today idea like that. So that I really feel. So sometimes ourselves is too much sort of pointing or terrorist. Then maybe that attitude hardened their position. So bring them as a human brother, human sister. Bring them together. Let them feel we are same human being. If we push them hard. That's my view.
Your Holiness,
Hold on.
Your Holiness, in the morning session, on a question on ethical values, you said we should be mindful of our actions, that it doesn't cause any harm to anybody. Post the 9/11 attack in America, you very famously said that America has a right to go after the perpetrators. So how does one reconcile this contradiction?
Kasa. Tell. What is your main point?
Your Holiness, my main point was that when you're talking about ethical values, the best way to gauge it, you said, was whether to see whether our actions cause harm to anybody else. And after the 9/11 attacks in America, you very famously said that America has a right to go after the perpetrators of the attack. So that attack, there was a lot of collateral damage over the years that we have seen in Iraq and Afghanistan. So now how does one reconcile this patent contradiction?
네. 좋은 놈의 제비나? What is your background?
Good day, I'm a student of law.
Tibetan?
Yes.
Oh.
No.
Ka.
No. Pavaina.
Kasa. Good. 11th September, that unbelievable sort of tragedy happened. The next day, 12th September, I wrote a letter to President Bush. Since I know him very well, I also personally, as a human being, I really love him. Really a nice person. But naturally, some of his sort of policy, I think due to some of his advisors' view, I think something wrong. So I express in the letter, firstly, my sort of, condolence to those dead people, and also some kind of to those other families. And then I express I hope the counter sort of measure for this tragedy, hopefully non-violent way. I wrote just next day. Then I think soon after that, I was in Calcutta. So many West Bengal sort of what's the media usually a little bit rushing. My visit that part rare. So once they are very much rushing rare. They asked about the tragedy. I mentioned real causes of this, even related with past century, last 1-2 centuries possible. Western imperialist exploitation, many parts of the world. And meantime, West materially, technologically, highly advanced. Some of the country or place where exploitation took place still remain poor. So naturally, some kind of jealousy, frustration, anger may develop. So there are many long sort of causes and conditions. So now answer for that. Since then, many occasions I express, we should think 2 levels. One level, immediate answer for that. There's various concerned government, you see, taking certain sort of method. So that's up to them. Like United States, take countermeasure using violence. But that is not sufficient. We must think long-term solution about terrorism. That related with the sort of promotion of oneness of the whole world. Destruction of your so-called enemy is essentially destruction of yourself. Today's world, economy, environment issue, national boundary is nothing. We must think about the global level. So once we promote these ideas, these views, then the terrorism actually is something like self-destruction. So through education, through awareness, through more contact, if people, as I mentioned earlier, people left isolate, then these things will not end. Bring together as a human brothers and sisters. Then gradually these things will change. So since then, I always mentioned 2 levels. of use sort of counter sort of method, countermeasure, like that. So then, basically, as I praised India's 1,000-year-old ahimsa, it is the only way. No matter how sort of afflicted in spite of their attitude of violent sort of what's the action like terrorism. If you take similar way countermeasure, the violence, no end. Violence, counter-violence, again counter, again counter. At that time, I express, if we handle this crisis wrong way, today, 1 Bin Laden. After 5-10 years, 10 Bin Laden. Afterward, 100 Bin Laden possibly come. This also, I think, related with my sort of what's the usual explanation. Negative emotion. I think this morning, I think some of you, I think we discussed about, you see, anger, hatred, these destructive emotion need independent, absolute target. When after this, September 11th event happened, then many people concentrate. All these things happen due to Saddam Hussein. So he became the independent, absolute target. Reality, the anger, hatred need independent, absolute target. In the face of destructive emotion, no room of relativity. Need independent. So with that sort of emotion, believe once Saddam Hussein finish, everything okay. Reality, not like that. When Saddam Hussein, more criticism about Saddam Hussein is developed, his sort of weapons, these things. One occasion in Germany, I mentioned Saddam Hussein, dictator, without his army, he cannot be that way. His army, the National Guard or something, National Guard something, a Republican Guard, without a weapon, just about 100,000, cannot be forceful, powerful. So this weapon, not produced in Iraq itself, but from West Germany also. I mentioned from other sort of the industrialized nation. So ultimately, such dictator built by Western money, Western technology. So they also, you see, have some sort of responsibility. Right? So that's the reality. When our anger develops, cannot see these vast sort of holistic view. It's only one target, absolute target. So that brought disaster of powerful nation, United States. And the president himself, very nice person, but his method, wrong method. His motivation is good. Aim is good to bring democracy in Iraq. So benefit to Iraqi people. But method, violence. So unnecessary complications happen. Thus we can't blame one or two individual persons. But things are relative. Asoda, there is no one event due to just one cause. No. Every event, vast sort of factors, like that.
Your Holiness, Buddhism and Jainism originated at the same time. Buddhism and Jainism originated at the same time against the existing Hindu practices. So, Your Holiness, Jainism speaks of self-penance or self-punishment as a matter to achieve moksha. I would like to question, how important is it that we punish ourselves in order to achieve moksha? What does the Buddhist speak about it?
That's Jainism, Buddhism, and also one part of Sankhya, very rich ancient Hindu tradition. Sankhya, two categories. One Sankhya, Changchen Harjaba, one Harmeba.
No, a theistic Sankhya and non-theistic Sankhya.
So, including non-theistic Sankhya and Jainism and Buddhism, I think only these three traditions of India is to believe law of causality, no creator. Now, within these three differences, the Jainism and Sankhya both believe Atma, or soul, permanent, unchanging oneness. Buddhism do not accept that. Anatma theory, selflessness. Selflessness does not mean Buddhism do not accept self. If we deny existence of self, it's quite foolish. I'm here, I am myself, yourself. It's fact, isn't it? So then, why does the Buddhists say selflessness is independent, oneness, unchanging self? That kind of self does not exist. So yes, then I think all three and also some other ancient sort of Indian tradition believe moksha. According to Jainism,
The Jainism, they believe in what is known as the 9 points, and one of which is the practice of asceticism. And pointed to the mental afflictions and the karmas given rise to by the mental afflictions. And they say that it is through the penance, undergoing penance, that the karma and the negative emotions can be eliminated.
Then Buddhism, according to Buddhism, Nagarjuna stated in as a precious garland. He mentioned,
so where he mentioned that it is not possible that through undergoing physical penance that the mental defilements can be eliminated.
Of course, all major religions, accept some kind of physical hardship, like fasting, some prostration, where different sort of type of practice which brings some sort of pain, physical level. Buddhism also is mentioned, but all these not just mere physical hardship, but ultimately everything depends on motivation. So physical hardship motivated with certain sort of right thinking, then including some physical hardships is some useful, but not the real sort of method. Then I think big differences. According Jain, I think according Buddhist literature, which available in Tibetan translation from India, mentioned moksha as something like special heaven. So once we purified all sins, negative things, then we born there. That's moksha. Buddhism, according to Buddhism, moksha not outside. Moksha is liberation once our mind completely liberated from dominance of ultimate ignorance. That's moksha. So moksha is a state, certain state of our mind. Furthermore, according to the Madhyamika philosophy, that's of course, if we compare all these different sort of school of thought within Buddhism, the most sort of profound, where no contradiction, is Madhyamika philosophy. It's quite clear. So therefore, according to Madhyamika philosophy, then moksha, the identification, right? Identification of moksha is the emptiness of our mind. So long the basis of that emptiness is our mind, so long mind remain with negative emotion. That emptiness we call something like Buddha nature. Once the basis of that emptiness, that's mind. Once mental level, all the negative influence completely eradicated, right? Eradicated, then the shunya of that mind is moksha, nirvana. In the Sanskrit tradition or Mahayana tradition, that is exactly chimad chebe semji chuni di kam. Chimad pangbe semji chuni di changju.
So here, according to the Mahayana tradition, particularly Madhyamika tradition, it is simply whether something is characterized as samsara or is characterized as nirvana. It's determined by the mental defilements, whether it is there tainting the ultimate reality of the mind. So this ultimate reality of the mind, when it is with the mental defilements, it is referred to as samsara, and whereas when it is free from the mental defilements.
No, come to see.
So this ultimate reality, which determines
the ultimate reality, just go to me and
ultimate reality out of the two the categories of phenomena, positive and negative, it is not positive.
I think there is danger if you use negative word.
Positive and non-affirmative.
I don't know.
Positive,
affirmative.
The affirmative and non-affirmative, or non-affirming. Affirming and non-affirming, it belongs to the category of non-affirming.
And there are a lot of sort of discussion between Buddhist sort of philosophy and non-Buddhist philosophy. Now,
as to how the thoughts or the mental conceptualizations, they engage with the objects. There is again a discussion whether how that engages with the object between Buddhist logicians and the non-Buddhists. And the non-Buddhist traditions, they believe in the conceptual mind engaging into the objects. Conceptual minds and the words or the labels engaging into the objects by the power of the object, not by the power of the mind as such. And whereas the Buddhist perspective would go the other way around, saying that instead of engaging with the object by the power of the object, but the power of the subject's selective selection,
Temoyin chen,
by eliminating the
rangmoyin chen.
non-things attached to the object.
Now here kakwa tu sa live da.
So from this point of view, the concept of the affirming and the non-affirming objects come into being.
Now when I see this bottle,
so when I look at this bottle, I see it, and how my mind engages with the object, this bottle, is that the bottle appears to be so affirming and so solid from the object side.
Now here, non-bottle.
So now when I look at the same place without the bottle, I see the non-bottle, the emptiness of the bottle. So here,
if something exists, the non-bottle is an exist phenomenon. Because can see or can feel or can understand. So it is something phenomenal. But that just absence. The absence of Lord Shadi, Taas Tombachigo Marwa, Gagja, the Gaza, Bottle, the near Lord Shan, T. Members. Gagja Chero, that absence of Lord Shadi.
So in the second case, there is an understanding of absence of something, absence of the bottle. So this is not to be understood as the mere nothingness, but rather as eliminating or negating what was originally existent as a bottle.
So shunya means just absence of independent existence. So itself just empty.
So here, this shunya, or the emptiness, is not to be understood as mere nothingness, rather as empty of something, empty of independent existence. So this is to be reflected in the sense of the absence of or negating something, and not something mere nothingness. And this non-affirming phenomena again can be divided into two. The one which has implication after negating the object of negation, and the other which doesn't have any implication after negating the object of negation. And then in the case of the second one, where the negation is to be understood in a negation associated with the implication as implying something else, that again has four divisions. One which is the object directly implied, indirectly implied, contextually implied, and
this way. Now forget. Only three, not four. He also can't remember. And I can't remember. So failed to mention. So in any way, so these, you see, in Buddhist, because of the epistemology, Pramana mentioned quite detailed, remarkable how, you see, our mind, sensorial mind and mental mind, how to do that.
Engages, how they engage into the object.
So actually, these days I sort of describing Nalanda tradition, this literature of Nalanda tradition, three parts: science, philosophy, religion. So far, our engagement with modern scientists, not Buddhist religion, but mainly science, external science, internal science, And then some extent, like the absence of independent existence or non-existence from objectivity. These are very similar that of quantum theory, quantum physics. Oh, one Indian physicist, Raja Raman. His nickname, India's Sakharov. You remember? You remember? One nickname, India's Sakharov, who are one of the scientists who built nuclear. Raja Ramana, or that one. Raja Ramana. One time, you see, in Delhi, one occasion, also some dialogue, some discussion, he mentioned recently he saw one text wrote by Nagarjuna about the 1st century. There he noticed the essence of quantum physics clearly mentioned. He noticed that. So as an Indian scientist, he feels great proud. We Indian, you see, found the essence of quantum physics even 1st century. So such is I think the typical Sanskrit word, there's something very unique only in Buddhism, patit samupad. Patit samupad. Because of dependent and arising. Patit, dependent. Samupad, arising. So that's the whole Buddhist concept. You see, Kasota.
The whole Buddhist concept is included there in this concept, dependent origination.
So Sanskrit word, patit samupad, that's something I think very unique about Buddhism. And such sort of philosophical view that some extent involved with our discussion with scientists. My friend, one great scientist, Paul Ekman,
Paul Ekman, who is expert on facial expressions.
Real scientist. He never sort of mentioned, I think he actually is mentioned, he is non-believer. He is non-believer. When we talk, he always say, I am no faith in religion. So he, as a result of our sort of meeting or discussion, he really formed the concept of interdependency, dependent and arising, patit samupad. He really loves to see that idea. Then so he often used to use that word. So one day I asked him, in scientific field, do you have that kind of concept, that kind of word? He said, no. This word,
so this word originally was not found used in the scientific domain, but then later on, eventually, this word was trying to get into the scientific terminology.
Now
that this word, not only that, it was trying to get into the scientific terminologies or the scientific domain, now it has got a seat there in scientific domain.
He mentioned like that. So therefore, the Nalanda tradition, as an academic subject, right? Science and philosophy, then religion. So as far as religion is concerned, Buddhist religion is concerned, only for Buddhists. Nothing to do with other people. But science and philosophy or concept is something universal. So actually now we already started some work, some books, some material separately, science not only Buddhist science, including modern science. One science, one category, philosophy. Not only Buddhist philosophy, but also the ancient non-Buddhist Indian philosophy, and also Western philosophy, Greek philosophy, and the latest Bertrand Russell's philosophy, Western philosophy. All sort of
Compiled. All compiled.
So we already started one project. Of course, firstly in Tibetan, then translate English, Hindi, and Chinese, like that. So that can be a text, some academic sort of institution. Not religion, simply knowledge, isn't it? These are universal. Oh, too long? Sorry.
Just to carry on, I just want to clarify that mind that you're talking about, the emptiness, the shunya, that clear light of day which you call, is that understood from a knowing self, which is mired in tradition and jealousy and envy and fear, or is it some other self? Who is knowing or experiencing that emptiness?
Self. Of course, self or mind. Mind, self itself is just a neutral. When you see involve destructive emotion, then our mind is impure. But real mind, now for example, say one's own mind towards one object, say one person. One occasion, you can develop a strong sort of negative attitude towards the same person. But another occasion, the same person, very positive emotion. Same object, same mind, but completely contradictory two minds, two thoughts. So that shows your basic mind is neutral. Sometimes negative emotions come and influence. Sometimes positive emotion come, influence. So that moment, generally difficult to make distinction, your main mind and the emotional thought. Cannot distinction. But through training, there is possibility. When anger fully develop, your mind be separate and watch that anger emotion. Then immediately anger strength reduce. Training. No difference of age. Young person, old person, like me, old person. I can do. Because of that, really, it depends knowledge. Or these, these great scientists, from the birth, they are not that kind of sort of knowledgeable person. Study, analyze, experiment, then become such sort of marvelous sort of mind or brain. Through training, time passes. Similarly, in these subjects also, through training of mind, you can do. Now, I think I can share my own little experience. My age, about, the early 30s, some concept, Buddhist practice, I understand and eventually get some feeling. But some idea, that time I feel too far, almost impossible to cultivate. Then continuous sort of effort, study, thinking. Then my age, say, 60s. Those subjects which in early 30s feel very far, become very close. So through familiarization, any subject, isn't it? At the beginning, very complicated, isn't it? And once you get used, then very easy. When we occasionally, you see, visit because of cockpit somewhere, cockpit in aeroplane, especially those modern aeroplane, big aeroplane. So many switch, so many sort of buttons, and the chuzu. So when I saw that, if I have to sort of handle the impossible, I may sort of bring the whole aircraft immediately go down. But these, through training, through get used, then you see everything automatically comes top, like that. So our mind has that kind of capacity, making familiar because of the experience, then become very easy. The Shantadeva wants to see express
a great Indian master by the name Shantadeva, he said that through familiarization or through habituation, there's nothing which will not become familiar to you.
So now, of course, change our mind is something different. But that also, even knowledge, gain gradually. Then actual experience, even more difficult. It really takes time. But without losing interest and effort, step by step. And particularly in the time of modern time, a lot of automatic things there. So don't expect some change in our emotion automatically. Impossible. Step by step. I think our human emotion at the time of Buddha and the 21st century here, same, basically same. So change, transformation of the emotion take time. And also the mind, the function of the mind itself. There are so many mind, you see, work together. So the method to change, that also is so many ideas involved. Just one meditation, one practice cannot sufficient. Like that. Okay.
Kanarayo ko shikamsu pida deo malu chunde cheres watize kizoi shabesite podete kyuchi. Your Holiness, I sometimes feel that some of the Buddhist ideologies and points of view which Buddha gave were given in consideration of the mental and social situation of the people during those times. But in this modern era where there's so much of radical changes in the human social system and scientific advancements, for example, in genetical science, scientists have found ways to restructure genetic codes to cure illnesses and make a person resistant to some sickness and old age forever, and also eradicate emotional and parts of the brain. So how can Buddha's underlying ideals move parallel and sustain with these changes in the long run?
Just, I mentioned human emotion at the time of Buddha and today, no differences. Of course, modernity means external things. Our mind still same. I think in the future, after sort of, I think maybe several thousands, millennium, say 100,000 years after, perhaps our brain, some change, evolution. Then some sort of thinking or some emotion may change. Otherwise, the next few centuries, few thousand years, I think remain same. So the real Buddha's teaching is the method to tackle our emotion. So that level is same. Then cultural aspect. For example, when Buddhism flourished in China, the cultural aspect is according to Chinese culture, it developed. And when it reached Tibet, with Tibetan culture, it developed another sort of Tibetan Buddhism. So, it is correct to say Chinese Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, and nowadays, perhaps, European Buddhism, possible. So, that not the real teaching, but aspect of the cultural heritage is from one place to another place, different culture, different way of life. There's some change. Then of course, in part of cultural heritage, you see there's some using instrument, different things, according to different local traditions. These are not real Buddhism. Real Buddhism, as I mentioned earlier, the Nalanda master's sort of presentation of Buddha Dharma, that's the true Buddhism. So that part, no change. Yes?
Good afternoon, sir.
Oh.
Sir, many questions have been raised on teaching ethics, but what seems ethical to me might not be ethical to someone else. So, can we really define ethics in a sense which can be justified universally, or isn't ethical something which is like self-judged?
That's right.
So when you talk about compassion,
even animal also appreciate.
Compassion and love, these are something universal, which even the ordinary animals, they also appreciate.
That's universal. Now, mental level, emotional level, something universal. Genuine respect, genuine love, genuine sense of concern, universal. Now, ethical action is concerned due to circumstances. So, the monastic and the Nangbe and the duetim nalolia, Kagpa, Druba, Naus, Gakru Naus Sashtoba.
So, in the monastic rules of the Buddhist monastic rules, there are three categories. One which belongs to the set of the prohibitions, and the other which is a set of to be done or to be practiced, and the third one which is allowed.
Da Gakru Nausum de circumstances the tuni. Gakpe Jesu Nawa. Nawa Jesu Druba. Did it do? Oh, tell you, 제냐를 직각으로 나서 직송. 아니 슈고 circumstances 딘지 와라 나르카시버디 degrees. No. circumstances 와라 내마도 채워res. 소샤.
So here are these three categories of
제자 제제 목구스에도.
these three categories of the practice monastic rules. So under one situation, the Buddha said that, oh no, you are not supposed to do this. And then when come under a different situation, then the Buddha said, oh now here you are exempted. It's all right, you can, even though you can do it, it's fine. And under the third condition, it might be such that you have to do it. So, depending on the situation, or is very contextual, whether something is to be done or not done.
So today in the Dinala, and the Jujuna Jusundua, Gabashan Chevachas, Count the Kaine, Gabashev, Gabashevachan Chores. There, Puge Pugyan Ringuchane, Kang Pambati.
And it is for this reason that Acharya Shantideva, he said that while you engage in any activities, make sure that you do that out of full awareness of the purpose of engaging in that activities. And then how you discern as to what is the purpose or whether there's purpose in it or not, it is determined by whether that action is going to give a long-term benefit or is going to be harmful in the long-term sense.
Like that.
Your Holiness, Your Holiness, you say the purpose of life is to find happiness. So, should we really be talking in terms of finding a purpose of life? I mean, don't you think it would kill all spontaneity? If you concentrate too much on finding happiness, it would destroy it eventually. So, why can't we accept life just as we accept love, without any purpose?
I think this morning I mentioned we have the very smart brain. So we have the ability, vision, great vision, and also memory about past. So combine these two things. You see, in order to achieve mental level satisfaction, it depends on many factors. So we have to deal with these things in order to gain happy life, even if it's physical health. So unless we just take tranquilizer and some drug and completely relax, that's actually destroy our intelligence. So it's foolish. Like you see, problem there, just you avoid the problem. It's silly. Must penetrate the problem, then solve the problem. That's the real method. Human way get deeper satisfaction. Just avoid like animal. There are some problem. Avoid. So in any way, so long this smart brain there, some problems. Always find. So we'll ask him for it. So we'll get the some others, so we'll ask him for it.
So therefore, it doesn't really make much sense to remain idly without giving any thought to in relation to future visions and so forth.
If you really remain botherless, then you won't get good lunch. You won't get good breakfast. You have to work. You have to think. So the very life like that. Whether we like it or not, we are in 21st century, in like India.
Sorry to interrupt, Your Holiness, but what when this purpose is fulfilled, what do we look for after that?
What's that? What?
what if our purpose is fulfilled? Then what do we live for after that?
Then, at the time of death, very peaceful, complete satisfaction. Then no longer any complaint to your the friend. Otherwise, you see, at the time of dying, a lot of complaint, a lot of resentment, and anger, frustration, fight. No use. Even you see, within this lifetime, mentally more peaceful, and also is like immune system. Basic mental attitude is healthy. Some disturbances come, go, come and go. There is Tibetan saying, some uncomfortable sort of news come this ear, then let go out from this side. Not keep here. Keep here, more worry, and then frustration, then anger, then violence. So all these entirely depend on your basic mental attitude. Is sound, is realistic. Small disturbances will not disturb you. Basically, your mental state is shaky. Then even small instant burst your mind. Like physical level also, your immune system is good. Small germs here and there may not disturb much. Your basic body health weak, then small things create a lot of problem. So mental level also same. So life as Buddha state, dukkha nature, suffering nature, some problem always there. Unless we remain really dull, then different case. Otherwise, a life, those couple, of course, become marriage, also is a trouble. After marriage, also trouble. Without children, much worry. Too much children, much worry. And then about thinking, abortion, impossible. And birth control, a lot of problem. Then some children, more worry, how to get education. After finish education, get a job and marriage. Endless problem, even individual level. Isn't it? And then eventually become old, or old age. Then sickness, and finally death. So these are source of problem, source of suffering. So Buddha state, dukkha, suffering nature. Unless we just forget all these things and remain dark, remain dark, then okay. Otherwise, more intelligent one. There are a lot of sort of causes to bring some disturbance, some unhappy, anxiety, like that. So we must find, it is worthwhile to find counters of the mental attitude when we face these problems. What do you think? Some sense? Correct. What? Oh, I see. Right. Time. Now tomorrow.
And we thank His Holiness. We of course will be here again tomorrow morning, same time. But we thank His Holiness from the bottom of our hearts. Please stay seated while His Holiness leaves. We will continue the dialogue with Doji and with our venerable monks here after the tea break. But for the moment, stay seated for the moment.
So, thank you very much. I really enjoyed and I appreciate all those questioners. You really put nice question. Thank you very much. We not only chela, but a reliable chela. That means last few centuries, the Nalanda tradition is much damage and ups and downs here. During those centuries, we kept intact all these Nalanda masters of teaching. So now time comes. It is our moral responsibility to reintroduce to you what we learned from your ancestors. Sometimes we will complain here and there as a refugee, but historically we truly believe you are our master. You are our master. So now it is our moral responsibility to return to our Guru what we kept last several centuries. So part of that, here I'm very happy to interact with mainly Indian student. Very happy. Feel great one. And many years ago, I think more than 20 years ago, I gave one Guhi Samanza initiation, Abhisheka, to 4 Sanskrit scholars from Varanasi University, Sanskrit University. They asked me that Abhisheka, and I performed with San Mandela. I so much moved, tear. And then 4 Indian scholars, everyone also tear. So that's a very unique close relation between teacher, Indian teacher, and Tibetan student. So one Tibetan great scholar described, till light of Buddhism reach Tibet from India, in spite snow land still dark. The light come from India, reach Tibet, then that snow land that fully brightened like that. And then I want to share with you, you Indian, of course the material development, technology, modern science, highly necessary. But meantime, you must keep your rich tradition. That's very important. Some young Indian, too much sort of fashion, Western culture or Western things. Okay, some are very useful, enjoy, very good. But your main sort of cultural heritage, 1,000-year-old your culture, must maintain. Look, China. Now, much copying Western sort of, education or science, technology, these things. But because 5,000-year-old cultural heritage, much already damaged. So now look there. They seems to see the younger generation, there's nothing much our own traditional sort of value. Whereas India, I think British India, although at that time already Buddhism flourished in China, I think at least 3-4 centuries ago. But then the Tibetan emperor found Buddhism is the best. So Buddhism is concerned, it is better to approach directly India. So then and then Tibetan script also copy one of the Devanagari script. So still, we can read, we can recognize some word in those Ashoka pillars writing. So we can pick up. But of course, we do not understand the meaning, but you see the letter, because it's a Tibetan letter, script is a copy, one of the Indian sort of script, so like that. Then alphabet, entirely different than Chinese sort of the correct way, like that. So then 7th century, 8th century, Shandarakshita invited by Tibetan emperor and with Pema Sambhava. The Shandarakshita was one of the top master of Nalanda at that time. Great philosopher, mathematical philosopher, and also great logician. According to his writing, I noticed, two groups, right? Two categories. One category about mathematical philosophy. Another category, logic. So, according to his writing, shows he was great logician and great philosopher. Great scholar, of course. Usually when I mentioned these Nalanda master, from the Buddhist viewpoint, we consider them as a Buddhist master. But academic field, I usually refer these people like Nagarjuna, Dignath, Jantakirti. These I usually used to describe professors of Nalanda University. So because the real introducer, Tibetan Buddhism, he himself, great scholar, great logician, so naturally, he want to teach or he want to bring his own student that way. So till 21st century now, up to now, we Tibetan carry rigorous study. I think generally in the past, before 1959, in Tibet, in order to become scholar, 20 to 30 years, rigorous study, and learn those root texts wrote by this Nalanda master. Firstly, familiarization, memorize, and learn by heart those sort of the root texts. Then those brilliant students, even some important commentary wrote by Nalanda master, some portion also is learned by heart. Myself, at young age, no enthusiasm for study. Great reluctant study, but under the threat, I study these root texts, learn by heart. And he, of course, and Yang Ding, these three of us already finished all study. Of course, my knowledge, you cannot compare these people. They are really spent rigorous sort of effort. Me, not that much. And Lingal Rinpoche, still young student, he's still studying, like that. So therefore, I proudly, saying, Tibetan Buddhist tradition is pure lineage of Nalanda tradition. And if you really want, you can examine Chinese Buddhist, or from Taiwan, or from Singapore, or from some American Chinese, or Chinese from mainland China. You can examine with them. and Japanese Buddhist, Korean Buddhist, Vietnamese Buddhist. We are same school, Mahayana, so-called Mahayana, actually Sanskrit tradition. But if you take interview, then you will notice Tibetan scholars, Tibetan who carry 20, 30 years of study, their knowledge is much profound. Of course, this is not self-promotion, right? No. Even myself, still, as I mentioned earlier, my knowledge is limited. But even then, when I discuss with Buddhist sort of subject, particularly these Madhyamika philosophy and Buddhist logic, with other sort of Buddhist brothers, sisters, my knowledge, not bad. So that means nothing special for myself. I mean, for something special person. No. I carry the normal way of study in Tibet, according to Tibetan Buddhist tradition. I study, I think, 13 years. And out of 13 years, I think last 2-3 years, I really put some effort. Otherwise, so that's, and then logic, Buddhist logic. I think we Tibetan, the way study is, first they learn root text by heart, then commentary, explanation, word by word, then debate. Chapter about yourself.
Debating whereby you employ such a logical system using the syllogisms, examining if something qualifies something, should it be the case with the main predicate, should it fulfill the criteria as put forth in the predicate or not. So this kind of very refined analysis is undertaken in that system.
So therefore, I think our knowledge is really quite depth, by depth. So, we really feel, sometimes even with great emotion. Now, I think some of you, I think already heard, I describing Tibetans are Chela of India, imperialist, bad, but still bring modern education and reveal these things without touching India's 1,000-year-old tradition. I think very good. So now you have the opportunity to combination rich spirituality of this country, ahimsa, mainly ahimsa, and religious harmony. I think these are model of the rest of the world. I think time come to show the rest of the world, all different religious traditions come together, sit together, genuine harmony with mutual respect. It's not just idea. 1,000 years practice here. This should be model the rest of the world. So Indian should feel proud. One student asked us, orthodoxy, I think your question, isn't it? Orthodoxy. I think, like you, young student, I think should take the essence of the spirituality, not ritual or some of these things. Rituals, these things are in a way superficial. In Tibetan case also, number of cases, even monastery, just they carry some rituals, some ceremonial thing, but without knowing the meaning. I often teaching my Indian friend, in many cases, the parent or people in the family mourning in front of Shivalingam or Ganesh or Saraswati or these things, offer some flowers, recite some Sanskrit shloka without knowing the meaning. These are not much useful. We must take the essence, and that essence make relevant day-to-day life. Then spirituality lives a life. Right? Then you get benefit. If spirituality remain in temple, old-fashioned, fail to make relevant day-to-day life, then not much useful. Do you agree? Good. Thank you. Now questions.
Okay, the girl at the back, yes, in black.
Good afternoon, sir. I would want to know that what is your view on capital punishment? What should be done with people who have done so much wrong to others, like suppose Kasab, for example? Is it right to execute them? How can they be redeemed?
Amnesty International was the organization. They start some movement abolishing death sentence. I'm one of the signature. I put my signature like that. So, from my viewpoint, even very negative person, that negativeness comes due to many different factors, environment, and his or her own way of thinking. These, like Hitler, who are very cruel, but at the time of their childhood, not.
After that wonderful and stimulating morning session, I think we are nicely set up for the afternoon session. And what a privilege it is to have His Holiness with us for so long. I'm an economist, and I can say we are monopolizing His Holiness. This is a monopoly we're having over him for a couple of days, and we are very, very grateful to you, sir. Along with His Holiness, we are also very fortunate to have two lamas with us of high repute and learning, Venerable Yangten Rinpoche and Venerable Ling Rinpoche, who are here with us, who are disciples of His Holiness. Also with us is Dorji Damdul, Geshe Dorji Damdul, who is the translator to His Holiness. And His Holiness is honorary professor at our place, and Dorji is honorary fellow. And some of you are in the philosophy and psychology department, Buddhist studies department. Last year he was here doing a lot of teaching in philosophy and psychology and Buddhist studies. He'll be again doing teaching in these departments and other departments this year. So we are grateful not only to His Holiness for being here, but in bringing other people along so that we can build on the interactions that we have with His Holiness. After 3:30 today, this session runs from 1:30 to 3:30. After 3:30, His Holiness would need to leave, but we would have Dorji and Venerable Ling Rinpoche and Venerable Yangchen Rinpoche here with us for a little while longer. So you can have tea at 3:30, and those of you who would like to continue this dialogue for a little while more with us all, then you are very welcome to stay on after 3:30, and we would have Venerable Geshe and Lamas to continue this discussion. And we are very fortunate and thankful to His Holiness for having considered this and so graciously bringing His disciples along with Him. Thank you, sir.
Perhaps as a part of introduction, myself or Tibetan Buddhist tradition. 7th century, the Buddhism began, start the Tibetan emperor then noticed the Buddhism is, I think, maybe more sophisticated religion. So usually I describe a Tibetan emperor in 7th century, 8th century, during this period. They are quite sort of realistic. They judge those neighboring states. China, food, vegetables, very rich. So they use even some vegetable, very name, still we use Chinese word. So they brought from Chinese tradition. And I think to some extent, I think in Tibetan medical system, also some Chinese tradition. But then, clothes is concerned, Tibet generally cold country. So Mongolia, their clothes seems very fit according to Tibetan climate. So they adopt Mongolian clothes. Then they watch religion, philosophy, they found best.